where we're at now. I know it's a convoluted story. Just watch the movie and you can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
We're kind of jumping around a little bit. So after this,
they meet up on the rooftop with the 4 others.
yeah. So they get the warrant from the 3 wise men. They bribe. They pay, I think, $40,000 for it.
Yeah. They don't tell anybody. Well, they don't tell Jake where they're going.
Right. They don't tell Jake. So Alonzo gets the people that are under him.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he has 5 guys that he manages, but I think there's only 4 guys there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he meant 5 guys and there's another guy that we just don't know, or Jake is supposed to be maybe the next.
I was thinking
or...
probably Roger was supposed to be the 5th.
No, because Roger doesn't work for him.
Roger definitely doesn't want to work for him. That's for sure. I don't know. It's probably something that we missed.
But there's 4. But anyways, there's 4 guys there that are on his team. They meet on this rooftop. They're basically, talking about the game plan and what they're going to be doing.
It's basically like a SWAT team mission to take over this guy's house.
Yeah.
To go get the guy.
Yeah.
And as soon as they bust the door in.
So it's important to note they go around the back.
Yeah, they go around the back.
Because I think Jake would have noticed if they went around the front.
Yeah.
Who it was.
Yeah, because it's Roger's house.
Yeah.
They were just there.
Yeah. They
were an important part that we missed is that Roger was talking about how he almost had enough money to just up and get out of there.
Yeah, to retire. He wanted to go to the Philippines or something. And,
and just retire.
Yeah.
Off of whatever money that he had. And they go in with the warrant, and Alonzo goes, "Hey man, they're telling me I had to come in and seize all the money."
Yeah, I think he said something along the lines of that they're taxing him.
Yeah.
Because these powerful rich men in the police force. He's like, how they are.
Yeah, they need another boat.
They have their boats. They have their, and they need to fund that somehow. And they're like, they're taxing them.
And then Roger was like, "Well, you might as well take me out of my misery while you're here, then."
Yeah.
And that brings up the whole. Alonzo looks at Jake and tells Jake to shoot Roger. And Jake's like, "No, you're joking."
Well, before we get to that, Roger has $4 million
underneath his house. In the kitchen.
And another thing, again, this is Jake just being like, "No, I'm a good cop," is they said, "Hey, look, there's $4 million here." And they start passing out some of the money.
Yeah.
$250,000 here, $250,000 there, but he gets a cut.
Yeah. They said, he said, "There's $4 million here." And then and Alonzo's like, and the police seized $3 million.
Yeah, you just
started passing out.
He says, "Jake, you've just been part of a $3 million police seizure." And he says, "Wait, there's $4 million here." And then he was like,
"Yeah, and we get to scrape a little off the top for ourselves." We're doing the hard work.
It hasn't paid. And he's like, "Look," and then it passes out. And Jake's like, "No, man, the only checks that cash are the ones that say, LAPD on them, right?"
Yeah.
Everybody's like,
I still wish Alonzo had taken out a Sharpie and wrote LAPD and gone, "Here you go, kid." I thought that would have been would have been the moment.
Yeah. So basically they get this money from underneath they cut through his kitchen floor or whatever.
Yeah.
There's $4 million. They take $1 million for themselves, split it up amongst them.
Yeah.
And then, so basically that money is for Alonzo, I think, because he needs to pay off his debt to the Russians. Right?
Yeah. Well, we learned that we're gonna have to skip through because we're running short on time. So I'll skip through the brass tacks of it.
Yeah.
They seize the money, kill Roger, and stage a police report. Basically, it's because they have to.
Right.
And this is another one of those moments where Jake is like, "No, man, I'm not doing this. You're fucking crazy, and I'm not going to be a part of this." And Alonzo reels him back in and is like, "These guys aren't leaders, and you are.
Yeah.
And someone's going to have to take over my spot."
Which was also set up earlier.
Yeah.
The first time they met Roger.
Yeah,
because
it was.
Alonzo is like, "Look at this, he's so green." And he's got
the same look you got.
You were just like this kid. And he's like, "No,
exact same look you
like
got."
This. He's like, "Oh yeah, you were."
Yeah, which
just
is
wanting to save the world. Right?
Exactly. And so it reels Hoyt back in. And then they go to.
That's where we get to the point where he says
Yeah. Okay.
they're
Yeah.
doing this to me, and he's like, well, we can take you out of your misery, and he was like, ah,
Yeah.
and then he's like, no, seriously, Jake, and he gives him the gun.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's when they kill Roger. Everything goes down, and then they head back to the barrio, where Alonzo is like, "See, I'm not all bad," and like takes all of the appliance boxes out of the car to go do some community service, and has Jake go with him to go inside of this house to drop it all off. And then Alonzo's like, "I'll be back. It'll be 2 minutes." And Jake's sitting there real awkwardly while a bunch of these like gang members are playing poker on the table. Yeah. And they open up the box, and there's just cash in there. It's not appliances.
No, actually, the cash was inside the blender.
Yeah,
So there was a blender inside, but inside the blender was cash.
There was cash. And they're like, "Hey, man, come sit down, come play around." And he's like, "Oh no, Alonso's gonna be back real quick." And they're like, they allude to like, "No, man, he's definitely not coming back."
They basically peer pressure him into a game of poker. Hands. They get him to take out his gun.
Yeah, and they start playing around.
Take the bullets from him.
And then Hoyt loses his shit and flips the table and basically like.
Well, because he realizes they said, "Hey, dude, there's nobody here for you." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And then he's like, "Look outside." He looks outside. He realizes,
the car is gone.
Alonzo left him there. Yeah, and then he realizes what's happening. He's about to.
Yes,
these guys are going to kill him.
Yeah, it all clicks that. That's spoilers. It was a setup. This was not a training day.
Which actually, I don't know.
This was a cover up.
Which actually, I don't know if you caught it, but when they were after the whole Roger situation, he didn't take the money, and they have another, like before they talk in the car, where he's like, "Look, you can do this. You can make changes, but you have to play the game for a little bit. Then you can make changes." And he does a whole heartfelt speech.
Yeah.
And everything. But before that, if you listen, Lonzo's on the phone. He's actually talking to the Ace, and he's like, "Hey, get that tub clean." And I don't know if you caught that, but I did not because Jake is staring at it from outside the car, and you see Lonzo on the phone, and it's very slight, but you hear him. He's like, "Yeah, man, get that tub clean." He was literally on the phone with him saying, "Hey, he was getting it." So prepped. Now he takes him there,
and so he's expecting them to kill.
Gives him the
Jake.
money, gives him the blood money, leaves. Jake realizes, and then,
but as they're giving him the shakedown, getting ready to put the gun to his mouth. They search for his wallet and pull out the wallet
let's take his
of the teenage girl that he saved earlier, and they're like, "Where the fuck did you get this?" And he's like, "I saved this girl earlier. It was in an alleyway. There were these two guys. They were trying to assault her, but we stopped it." And they're like, "Nah, bullshit." And so
because the guy who has the gun is about to come,
the cousin,
his niece.
Yeah. Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And so he calls her and is like, "Hey, what happened?" She's like, "No, nothing happened. Nothing happened." He's like, "No, really, what happened?" And she tells him, and he goes, "What'd this cop look like?" It's like some like skinny white boy.
Looked young.
Yeah, young. He's like, he's telling the truth.
So
let him go.
So because of the fact he got out of the car, the thing that he did right in the midst of Alonzo doing all these bad things, the one thing he did right saved his life.
Yep.
He was in the bottom of that tub. They were about to blow his head up with a shotgun in the tub, and was begging for his life, saying, "Look, I have a wife. I have a baby girl.
Yep.
I have a baby girl. Please don't kill me."
He's like,
"Oh." And so guess what? That saved his life. And
and he was like, "Hey, man, it's just business."
Yeah, he's like, "I know." They're like, "Hey, nothing personal.
It's just business.
Yeah, and let him go. And man, at this point,
and he returns back to the barrio.
Well,
he took the bus to the place where Alonzo said, "Don't ever come in here without me."
Yeah.
And anytime someone's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm here for Alonzo," and they're like,
"Well, dude,
yeah."
But dude, here's the thing though that's important is you see the age, like it's like he aged like three or 5 years in one day.
Significant.
Because the look on his face while he's on the bus, he's putting gun. He's making sure it's loaded. He's walking up. He's not scared anymore to go in there. He's on a mission.
Yeah.
Like he has.
Oh, and they know too.
Yeah, and they're like, what you'll see. He goes in. They're like, I'm here for Alonzo. They let him through. He gets in there and basically opens the door
And
to
calls him out
and says, "Hey," he's like, "Put down all your guns. Put them in that bag. Give me the money." He says, "You're not making your appointment with the Russians."
Yeah.
And I think he has like 3 guns on him, and then there's a shotgun underneath the bed
Yeah.
he didn't know about. They have a shootout in the house, a fight over the rooftop.
Yeah, and then a bit of a shootout in the neighborhood.
Alonzo's getting ready to leave. Jake jumps on his car from who knows how many stories.
Yeah.
Lands on his hood, and then they basically like fist fight for a little bit.
Yeah, and then the whole neighborhood like starts crowding around, and Alonzo's like, "Oh yeah, it's over for you, buddy."
Bro, this is where the most iconic line in all of
The
all
improvised
of the whole
one.
movie, the improvised one.
Yeah.
But anyways, Lonzo tells everybody, he said, "Hey, I'll make you rich." Somebody just killed
the first person to put a bullet into his head, I will make a rich
You're
man.
a rich man. And then I guess one of the main leaders of the
Yeah,
cul-de-sac.
And he walked out, tossed his gun, and said, "You do your own
He said,
dirty
you
work."
gotta put in your own work here, homie.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, it's like that." He's like, "Yeah, it's like that."
And he
I think that's
backed
the bag.
It was pretty
That's
good.
the line for
I
line.
like that. That was a good one.
And so
I was like, damn, these people hate him.
that, and then of course Alonzo, he's like, "Okay, look, you're not gonna shoot me."
Yeah.
Right? He's like, "I'm a cop." He puts his badge on.
Yeah.
Around his neck. He's like,
He
"Come on,
turn-
shoot me."
he turns around to go pick
He's
up
like, "What
the
are you gonna do?
gun.
Shoot me in the back?" He's like, "They'll put you in the gas chamber for that." You know what the gas chamber smells like? It smells like pine oil. And then so
He turns around.
he turns around. He turns around and Jake shoots him right in the butt.
Yeah.
Shoots him right in the butt. He's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And
This is
then-
the first time Alonzo's like, "Oh shit."
And then he changes his tune a little
shit.
bit. "Oh, I'm sorry, Jake, come on, man. Let's work this out."
Yep.
Like, he's like, and then,
And then-
he takes his money, and then this is where Jake says to him, "You want to go to jail? You want to go home?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I just want to go home.
I just
Jake.
want to go
I just
home.
want to go home. Let me go home. Let me take this money. Let me go home."
And then
he
Jake
says
was like,
no. "Yeah." He's like, "Nope." He takes the money. He leaves. And
then-
this is where
yeah. And then this
Denzel
is
says-
where Alonzo just loses
he
it.
goes off.
He's like, he's expecting somebody in the neighborhood to just pop him one real quick. He starts going off, and the line quite literally is,
Oh my gosh, so good.
"King Kong ain't got shit on me."
Dude, amazing. You know what? You know what? I watched an interview with Antoine Fuqua, and he said, "You know what?" He said the scene, he said when we recorded that, he said it was blurry. He said it wasn't in focus or something. He said he was like, "I can't use this." And they said, "You have to use
Yeah.
it. Nobody's going to care. That is the scene. That is the
Yeah, I
moment."
didn't even notice.
And Denzel was like, "I noticed it, but I was like, it didn't
It didn't matter.
No, it didn't matter because Denzel
works.
is being Denzel.
Yeah,
like
it
he's
works.
doing his thing. And it
Yeah.
is freaking amazing. It's one of the coolest lines that I think Denzel has said in any
Yeah.
movie ever. When he goes off on his rant, and man, dude, it is just Denzel at his finest, man. And so,
And they all walk off.
and they leave him. Yeah.
They know he's a dead man.
They know, yeah, they don't got to do anything. And
Yeah.
so he does the only thing that he can. He gets in his car. He's headed toward LAX. He's about
Yeah.
to get out. He's trying to get out of town.
And they catch him.
They catch him.
They knew, and they obviously they knew.
Yeah. And
Like,
so,
how do you? This man's got to get them $1 million in what, a week? Nah.
and yeah, and basically Russians show up. They surround his car on his way to LAX, and they freaking just shoot up his car until he's. I mean, he's dead. He can't do anything. So
And then Jake Hoyt goes home, wakes up the next morning, and he's a cop.
dude, but one of the things too, and I love this so much about this movie. I want to talk about this for a few minutes. We got a few minutes left. Is the fact that one of the things that Lonzo said to Jake is said about Alonzo at the end of the movie, which is he says, what is this, a spokesperson for the police department, you know? And,
Yeah. He said
that he survived because
he survived by his wife and his kid.
infant child, and he said,
Yeah.
"Is that what you want to hear on the news? Is that what they want you to hear on the news about you, Jake?" Because they were about to kill him at Rogers because he didn't take the money. He threatened to kill Alonzo in that moment. He had a gun on Alonzo, which we didn't talk about that part, but But Jake was so uncool with it.
Yeah.
And that is when, and again, Alonzo defended him. He's like, guys, he's like, this guy's got the drop on all y'all. This is a real man right here. This is a real leader. And I think that's a true moment where Alonzo saw himself in Jake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's like, I can't let him mess up my plans, which is why he went on the phone and called, what's his name?
Yeah.
What's his name? Said, hey, you need to get the tub clean.
Yeah.
And you need to take care of this guy. And he set all that stuff up. Another thing that we met, again, it's these little lines here and there. He says, you've been, Jake, what does Jake say? Oh, man, you've been planning this all day. Because
I've been planning this all week.
Yeah, because he tells him, he said, you made me do those drugs on purpose so that I could, so if I get drug tested, I'm fired and I can't provide for my family.
Yeah, you've been planning
this all day. And he's like, boy, I've been planning this all week.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bro, dude, like Alonzo is freaking, like,
it was cool to see the whole setup.
He's just a badass character. Like, he's one of those characters you love to hate in like a good way. Like, he's such a good, bad guy.
Yeah.
That's also like, he's got the riz, dude. Like,
he's morally sound. Yeah.
He could convince you of anything. And you just like listen to the guy. Like, yeah, dude, this guy makes sense. Like, he's the guy that's gonna push you past your moral limit, and he'll make you feel good about it. But at the end, he's just a criminal.
Yeah.
He's literally no better than any of the criminals that like Jake's been talking about locking up the whole time. Yep. Is like, and he got so high off of his power, off of his protection from the people that he knows in the streets and the people in the neighborhood, and the three wise men. Like, he's just so arrogant and puffed up on his own self. That's what led to his own downfall. But see, because he's a big fish, right? Or he's kind of a big fish in a little pond. But when he went to Vegas, he took his big ego with him.
Yeah,
and it turns out
in trouble.
Yeah, maybe he could deal with the drugs and stuff like in his city, but he can't handle the Russian mafia. He can't handle the Russians. So he took his big ego out into a bigger pond, and there were much bigger fish there.
Yeah, did not work.
Did not work for him. But it is like, this whole movie, guys, seriously, watch it, because every scene, and watch it again and watch it again and watch it again. I think I've seen this movie 5 or 6 times in my lifetime, and it's just so many.
Don't watch the TV series.
Oh, there was a TV series?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never seen that, so I'm not worried about yeah. But
it's in 2017.
Oh gosh. Yeah, watch the movie.
Let's see the plot of this. Hold on.
but guys, this movie is insane. To me, it's like it's perfect in the way that it tells a story. I can't imagine any moment that could be done better. It's one of those things where it's like, the whole time I'm engaged, I'm like wanting to see what happens next. I don't really have time to take myself out of the movie and think about what I would change, or this doesn't make sense. Like, it all makes sense. It all flows together so perfectly. There's so much action and suspense, and you're just like, it's got a great twist. Like, you know what I mean? And the thing I like about it is it has all those themes that they set themselves up. Alonzo, just from the beginning of the restaurant, the fact that everybody's calling Jake a rookie, the fact that he says, hey, you want to go to jail, you want to go home, Jake uses that line on him at the end. The whole setup with the him stealing money from the small time girl house.
He worked his way up,
and then he has all the appliances in the trunk, which sets up for later. The fact that Jake fights those hobos that were raping that girl sets up for later. Like, I love that everything is so intentional in the movie. Yeah, and everything that you see is important. It's important, and it pays off later.
There's no filler.
Yeah, there's no filler. There's no empty like questions. At the end of it, you have a full, satisfying Denzel Washington movie. Yeah, with Denzel Washington being Denzel Washington, and it's just entertaining. It's suspenseful. Like, I mean, I think when we were watching it together, it was like a little stressful. You feel the stress from like his life. It's just kind of like, oh my gosh, dude! Like,
literally anything that Hoyt did was not enough.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, he'd sit there and crack a joke, and then no one would laugh.
That's true. Poor Jake.
Yeah. they'd be like all comfortable, having a great time, and then he'd be like, yeah, yeah, and they go,
Why you?
who's this guy?
Yeah,
So it's uncomfortable.
yeah,
There's not a moment of comfort at all. Well, except for the 2 naps.
yeah,
He had a nap in the car and then a nap at Alonzo's place.
yeah.
But those were drug induced.
So, what a movie, man! I mean, overall, what do you think?
It's pretty solid. It's one of those that like
Out of 5 stars, what do you think?
out of 5 stars. We don't grade movies here.
How about
I would say that to me there's a scale of like movies that fit within a genre that people like specifically.
Yeah.
And then there's movies that are so good that you could take somebody who says they don't like movies in that genre
Yeah.
and they'll enjoy it. And I feel like this is almost pushing into that space. Right? It is a very specific genre movie
Yeah.
that is almost to the point where I could tell somebody like, hey, you would enjoy this regardless.
I think there's a lot of, especially in this time, there's a lot of these cop movies. It's
Yeah.
hard, kind of
Yeah.
crossing the line.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird like it's a psychological thriller. I think that's the actual like place that it's in, but it's also a buddy cop movie at the same time. And there's a lot of people who don't like action. They don't like buddy cop. They don't like psychological thriller.
I love all those things.
Yeah, it's weird. It's hard not to. But it does push up on that line of like, oh, you could tell somebody like, hey, if you want something that's like that keeps you on the edge of your seat, this is it.
Yeah. I was like, who doesn't love that kind of stuff? And then I remember that there are people who like The Rise of Skywalker. So I was like, there's a whole group of people.
There's
out there.
people for me, the Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker is the Transformers movies. And there's people who love the Transformers movies and they're 13-year-old boys.
Bro, you know what? Transformers was such a thing that I loved as a kid. I stopped watching the movies after a while because they were just bad. But
Yeah.
I hate to say it, bro. I'm gonna watch the Beast one because Beast Wars was my thing after school. I'd come home and watch Beast Wars. It was probably my favorite Transformers series. I'm gonna watch it. So sorry. I don't know if I'm gonna like
It's
it,
okay.
but
You just sit back and go,
the Beast Wars specifically are just it's so close to my heart. But anyways, like for me, when it comes to movies, like real good movies that I like, this is one of those ones that I'm just like, dude, it's always gonna be good. I will never get tired of watching this movie. It's so good to pick up on those small little things. Like I don't remember when I realized it. But it wasn't the first time I watched it either. When I realized, I started listening to what Lonzo was saying, which you can hear faintly in the background in the car, when he says, "Hey, get that tub ready and cleaned up or something." I was like, "Oh!" And it's one of these movies that you can rewatch. Which to me, I don't know how you mark a good movie, but for me, one of the ways I can mark a good movie, there's several things. One is like again where I'm engaged fully. And I don't have room to think like, oh, that doesn't make any sense, or I would change this, or this could have been done better.
Yeah.
Another one is, can I rewatch this and still enjoy it? Because some movies you watch and it's good, but you're just like, I don't need to see this again.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend 2 hours doing something, it's not going to be rewatching this movie. It'll be watching a new movie or rewatching a movie that I do love. You know what I mean? This is a movie that I can rewatch and I want to share this with people, which was I wanted to share with you when as soon as you were like, I haven't seen that movie, I'm like,
Yeah,
bro,
we gotta see it right
I
now.
have to watch it. This has to be
Yeah.
the next one. And hopefully you enjoyed it.
I did.
As much-
It was a very enjoyable movie. It's a very smart movie, and I like smart movies. And I also like it's not. I hate when people call like plot points in a movie a twist because
sorry, I did that.
it's okay. Every movie is supposed to subvert your expectations somehow. And so calling it a twist makes it sound like it's like a special little gimmick that the movie has, but no, that's just a storytelling device. It's a good one.
And I think they did.
And when it's done well, if it's not an M. Night Shyamalan twist, if it's done well, it subverts your expectations to a point where you're not just like, oh wow, I had no idea that was coming, but instead you go, oh shit, I could have seen this the whole time, but I didn't. And that was one of these.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me of well, maybe we'll do this one at some point. Predestination with Ethan Hawke.
I haven't seen it.
Oh bro. All right. Well, maybe not next week, but at some point.
No,
That's
you're
what-
watching one of my movies this week.
Yeah, we'll watch one of your movies this week. But all I got to say is, guys, please watch this movie. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's so good. I highly recommend it. You will be entertained. I think it still holds up today. Like, it's not a movie that you're just like, oh wow, you could see the product of its
It's
time.
old. No, it's
I think but when it was
2001.
2001 is what
2001.
2001, 22 years ago.
Yep.
That's crazy. 22 years ago, this movie feels like if they released this in theaters, it would be one of the best movies.
Oh yeah, that's out right now.
And it did. I think they won an Academy Award for it.
Yeah, it was October 5th, 2001. Did they win an award for it?
Yeah, I think they did. But what's it called? That's what I'm saying is like, it would be a good, like
Yeah,
when you look
yeah. It's best actor in a leading role, best actor in a supporting role,
so
and they got both of those.
so Denzel got one and
Oh, sorry. Denzel won. Ethan Hawke was
nominated. And did they get another one? Okay. But man, like trust me, in the past 22 years, I've seen so many bad movies that if this movie came out tomorrow, I would watch it and be like, wow, this is a really great movie.
Yeah. You'd be running around going, "Hey, everybody, you need to go see this right now."
Yeah, exactly. So
Like, forget John Wick 4. You're gonna go see.
it's better. I literally saw John Wick 4 last night with a buddy of mine, and it was entertaining, but it was not, Training Day good. It was not Training Day good. So, anyways, I don't know if you have any other things you'd like to say about the movie or
Wrap it up.
yeah, man. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. If you haven't seen this movie, please go watch it. If you have seen the movie, I would love to hear some of your favorite lines, some of your favorite themes. What is your favorite scene that you like from the movie? I mean, there's so many again there that you could just break down and talk about. Again, we could talk for another 30, 40 minutes about this, but let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, do all the YouTube things. You know what it is. It's YouTube. So of course we got to ask, but we love hanging out with you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I hope your day is everything you dreamed of being more, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, full-time movie fans, thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you had a good time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. We want to hang out and discuss the movie with you. So don't forget to do that below. Have a good one. I hope your day is everything you dreamed of being more.